All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Rosh, and you are viewing FM3 Basics. This is a tutorial series I'm putting together to help program the Fractal Audio Systems FM3. As hopefully the pandemic draws to a conclusion, many of us are going to be getting out there and starting to play live again. So I wanted to give back to the Fractal community and show some tips and tricks on how to program the FM3. A lot of these tutorials are also going to be used in unison or, in concert with my FM3 Basics series that I put together on my YouTube channel. So a lot of those tips and tricks can also apply to the FM3. So a lot of the goals of this tutorial series is to maximize the 3 buttons that the FM3 comes with and how to get the most out of those 3 buttons, as well as using them with other foot switches and maybe even using them with other MIDI controllers or the Fractal Audio FC6 or FC12. So I wanted to give back to the Fractal community and help out. So a little about myself. My name is Rosh, and I'm an LA-based guitar player and guitar tech. I build and program guitar rigs. A lot of my clients include Steve Vai, Leppard, Melissa Etheridge, Perfect Circle, and more. So I wanted to help the Fractal community and help program the FM3. So this series this particular video rather, is going to be how to make a basic 3-button preset that's going to have a lot of functionality, and you don't have to menu dive or do anything. And it's going to be using a lot of the concepts that we just went over in the previous videos, including scenes, effects, and assigning them, hold functions, etc. So let's build a basic preset. So my goal for this preset, we'll just call this Rosh 3-button preset, is that we're going to have a clean sound. We're going to have a, like a rhythm sound. So this will be like a rock rhythm sound, and then a lead sound. And what we want to do is have like a clean rhythm and a lead sound, as well as some effects that we all have access to. And we're going to do that without even, without menu diving or just having 3 buttons on the foot switch. So let's reset all these switches right here and go through that. So let's build the basic sound right here. I'm going to use quick build, and we're going to use the input, put the output there, amp block, cab block, and let's connect them. And I'll put a reverb as well. And I go over some of these concepts in previous videos. So if you're curious why I'm running the reverb in parallel as opposed to series, that's just one approach that I do. All right, so let's see. So for our clean sound, we'll use maybe like the deluxe reverb. So a lot of times when people pull up the deluxe reverb, all the default settings are at 5. So this is going to be really crunchy. And they go, well, that's not really a clean sound. Well, just keep in mind that if you turned up a real deluxe reverb to this, which is halfway up, that would also cause the amp to distort. Most people using a deluxe reverb are going to be in this area. So let's do that. And then let's pick a cabinet. So we'll just pick the matching cabinet, which is the 1x12 deluxe reverb. And again, I go over some of these preset building approaches in previous videos. So be sure to check those out on my YouTube channel. All right, so I'm using a 57 and a Rohr 121. The 57 adds some mid-range. The 121 kind of smooths out that top end, provides some low end. And we're going to cut the low end out around 80 here. And we should have a pretty generic clean sound. And so right now I'm using a Strat, so we can get a lot of different sounds out of this. I'll crank the treble, reduce the bass a little bit. Awesome. And yeah, we'll definitely need to pull that up a little bit, so maybe -9. And when I'm leveling out my presets, I'm trying to shoot for that unity gain right around here. So let's do that. Awesome. And you can see also in the headroom parameter right here, right as you approach this is when the amp starts distorting and breaking up. So if you dig in, it's going to break up, but if you pick really light and, have some pickup choice, really nice and clean. Okay, so we have a clean sound, pretty generic. By all means, feel free to adjust it as you see fit. Now in scene 2, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the B channel of both the cabinet and the amp. In this case, we'll do like some kind of Marshall thing. So we'll do the Plexi, and we'll do the jump. And again, I'm not too picky about the types of sounds. I can get pretty good sounds out of everything. So we'll do the jump, which is basically like the 4 input Plexi, and they're going to jump 2 of the channels. And we'll also pick a matching cabinet. We'll do maybe the TV cabinet. Where's the own hammer ones? Or maybe is it M25? I think those are, yeah, there they are. Okay, so the Marshall M25, these are like greenbacks with a 57, and then we will also do the matching Royer 121 and unmute that. So as you can see, 57, Royer 121, this is the Marshall TV cabinet. Again, pretty, generic isn't a bad word or anything, but it's just like kind of gets that Marshall sound. And I'll do the low cut at 80. And then we'll get this Marshall. And usually with the Marshalls, what you want to do is you want to definitely trim the bass off because it gets really flubby. Feel free to crank the mids and the treble. And this normal drive kind of adds low end and flubbiness, so use it sparingly if you need more gain. So we'll start there. That sounds pretty good. We'll add a little bit more low end, a little bit more bass. All right. So we're kind of going for like an AC/DC thing. All right, that sounds pretty good already. Again, you feel free to tweak as you see fit, but I'm more interested in demonstrating the functionality. Feel free to use your own sounds here. And then for the lead sound, we'll use that CAE lead sound. This is kind of like a very nice, warm, saturated lead sound. CAE is custom audio electronics, so this is kind of like, that kind of 80s lead thing, maybe, quote unquote. But really good, really smooth, really warm. And we will use channel C. Let's pick another cabinet. Maybe, I can't remember if the CAE has any cabinets. Nope. We'll do 412, maybe the Cali cabinets. So pretty good. So again, we'll pick a 57, and then we'll pick a 121. Again, that's my kind of go-to combination. The M160 is also a good substitute for the 121. You have the mid-range, you have the smoothness and the low end and the warmth, and then you can kind of adjust the level of how much you need on both. And so now we have this kind of lead sound. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it's pretty good. Maybe add a little bit of bass. And usually with a lead sound, I'd probably want to like overdrive the input a little bit with some type of drive pedal. Yeah, and we'll pull the tone back. All right, and with this lead sound, we probably also want to use some type of delay. So let's do that. Let's do dual delay. And I go over a lot of these settings in a previous video called, rock lead or something like that. So by all means, feel free to view that. And then we'll connect this in parallel again. And anytime you connect something in parallel, make sure you use this mute effects in as well as the mix at 100%. Use the level knob to adjust how much of the effect you want. Okay, and then we'll pan these up the center. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's pull that back a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. So we'll copy this channel into channel C. So each channel is also going to have its own delay. So in this case, we'll have this, and then we'll also copy this channel to channel C so that the lead sound has its own, overdrive setting. And let's save it. Okay, last but not least, we want to make sure these are bypassed when we open up these scenes. And let's add a wah. So I have an expression pedal already plugged into the first expression pedal. We're going to auto engage that, program change reset so that every time we load this preset, the wah is just going to be at a neutral position. And so if I have this, okay, cool. So we'll just leave that as is, feel free to adjust the wah as you see fit. Now, let's talk about this. So we have 3 different sounds that we want to have access to. And then we also have some of these effects that we want to have access to. So for example, if we had the clean sound and let's say we wanted like a clean boost, to be able to turn on and off when we play this clean sound. And we also want to maybe have, some kind of, let's say, tap tempo kind of delay sound. We want to have access to these effects. How do we do that with 3 buttons? Well, there's a lot of different approaches to this, obviously, but some of my previous videos covered that you can use tap and hold functions to access all these different sounds. So I'm going to just dial in some generic things. Maybe in the rhythm sound, we want an octave fuzz or something. So we'll use this octave distortion. So maybe if we're playing in the rhythm sound, we want kind of this Hendrix, or something like that. I would probably crank the drive up. So let's just say we wanted that sound in there. By all means, feel free to use whatever sound you like. And then, of course, in our lead sound, we want the tube screamer on with the delay. And it has its own dual delay. So the rhythm sound would probably have, I don't know, maybe this mono delay thing right here. And we'll do that. Okay, so we got our sounds happening for this preset. Let's talk about how to access them using only 3 buttons. So the first thing we can do is, of course, assign the first button to scenes, and we want to toggle between scene 1 and 2. So what we would do is select the scene right there, toggle, and the primary scene will be our clean scene, which will be scene 1, and then our secondary scene will be scene 2, which is our rhythm scene. Okay? And so when we press that button, it's going to go back and forth between our clean sound and our dirty sound. So it would sound like this. Here's our clean, and then here's our dirty. And then now the last thing we would want to do is also have access to our lead sound. So we can pick a scene here, and then we can, of course, instead of doing toggle or anything like that, we would just select scene 3, which is our lead sound. So if I tapped the scene, it was going back and forth between scenes 1 and 2, if you're playing like rhythm guitar in a song. And then when you hold it down, it would go to the lead scene. So let's save that. And then here is our clean sound. And then here is our rhythm sound. And then here's our lead sound. I'm going to hold the button down and it switches to lead. Okay. And then, of course, if you're in the lead sound and you want to have access to maybe the rhythm sound, you would just tap the switch twice. And boom, you're in the rhythm sound. Or if you're in the lead sound again and you want to get to the clean sound, you just tap it once. So really great functionality out of one button. So now the second button we can assign to effects. And so if we want to have access to the delay block or the drive block, for example, we can do that. So let's do the drive block. And what we would do, of course, is each scene has its own little like drive sound. So for example, in the clean scene, we're playing that. And then, we can turn on the drive. Oops, wrong button, sorry. And of course, one of the cool features that I've gone over is that if you do the hold switch, what you can do is, of course, use the effect. And then instead of bypassing this, we can toggle between two channels. So let's say we want to have access to channel A, which is our esoteric, and then channel B is that octave distortion, let's say. Or maybe channel C, which is that tube screamer. Yeah, let's go between A and C. So what we can do here is A, which is our clean boost, and then C, which is our tube screamer. And so that drive, that middle button controls the drive, whether it's bypassed or not. Okay. But if I hold it down, it controls which channel we're going to. So in this case, we would do channel A. Oops, sorry. Whoops, forgot to select amp. That's why I was doing some weird stuff. We would select the drive here. Okay. So what we would do is if we hold down the button, it's going to go between A and C. And then if we hold down the button again, it goes between A. And of course, you see that it's not actually engaging the effect. It's only just switching between those, getting it ready so that when you do tap it, you would turn it on. Or here. So a lot of different functionality that we can do. And then of course we can tap it, or we can just go back to this clean boost. All right. And then, so you can do things like that. Another option, of course, is you don't have to actually tie it to the block that you're in. So you can, of course, do, a toggle function, for example. Let's say if you want to toggle between the reverbs, maybe using 2 reverbs. So one thing that I like to do is let's have this turn on the delay, and we'll treat this button as kind of a modulation effect. And then we're going to toggle between A and B. So some of my favorite reverbs in the FM3 are the cloud style reverbs, which correspond to this cirrocumulus, cumulonimbus, nimbostratus, stratocumulus. So let's do the nimbo. That's pretty long hold time, but let's check this out. Yeah, it sounds really great. Let's bring the quality up. Let's do the high again. So now this button, I change it from controlling the drive to turning on the delay. So if I press this, turns on the delay. And then if I hold the button down, it's going to switch between the 2 channels of the reverb. So since the FM3 you can only have 1 instance of a reverb, you can't have 2. This is a really great way to switch between reverb sounds as needed, since reverb is generally going to be always kept on. All right. So last but not least, we have one more button to assign some functionality to. So again, we're doing, our different amp sounds, quote unquote. Then we have some modulation effects. We can turn on the delay in each scene. We can change between 2 reverbs. Here, I would probably do something like the utility functions. Let's assign this to a tap tempo. And then the hold function, we're going to assign to a tuner. So on this particular delay sound, excuse me, I assigned a tempo to this. So if we turn on the delay, I'm going to save this with a delay bypass, but if we turn on the delay, so the delay's on, and right now it's playing quarter notes at 120. And I'll just turn this up so we can hear it better. Now if I tap the tempo, so slow down the tempo, maybe even slower. Or you can do it faster. And so now we have some functionality here. And then of course, if I hold down the button, you can't really see it on this video, but if you hold down the button, you get the tuner. So right here, we have one preset that kind of covers a lot of basic sounds that you would need. And we only need to do 3 buttons. There's no menu diving, there's no fanciness. And all you get is you get your 3 different scene sounds, you get access to different modulation effects. And of course, in each scene, you can, turn on drives or add more effects as needed. So this is a really great way to maximize the functionality out of 3 buttons. There's obviously other ways to even get more functionality, such as views, which we will cover in a future video, or using external MIDI controllers or the Fractal Audio Systems FC6 or FC12. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. If you have any topics you would like me to cover in the future, by all means, feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe, and feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to make future videos and tutorials on how to cover specific topics. In the meantime, make sure you guys visit axfxbasics.com, FM3Basics.com, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.